Okay, well, thank you. I hope you enjoyed your brief intermission and got some refreshment. And now it's time for questions from our audience. And the way we have the structure is all of our candidates are here in front of us. And I will ask as many questions as I can in the time we have left. And if any candidate wants to answer, please feel free to answer the question. Not every candidate needs to answer the question, but we will limit the response to 1 minute. Now I know that's we're putting some chains on, but we've got to limit it for a minute so we can get through our questions here. All right. So are we all ready?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So if you want to take the mic, you can stand up, talk to the mic in front of all of us, and we will give each person 1 minute. Anyone that wants to ask or answer those questions. So this question comes from, it's an online question from Mr. and Mrs. Davidson of Roland Drive here in Port Deposit. It says, or the question is, as all of you have been residents of Port Deposit for many years, the Bainbridge development is the most significant project this town has seen in a long time. How involved have you been with the planning? How many town council meetings have you attended? Or how many planning commission meetings have you attended? Anyone want to field that question? You have 1 minute.
I was on the planning commission back in from 2015 to 2019, and there was a lot of rezoning and zoning when I was on that for up there. What was the second part of the question?
How involved have you been in the planning? How many town council meetings have you attended?
I've been to coming to town council meetings for probably 20 years.
All right, Kevin, take it away.
Well, obviously, being on town council permanently, since I'm not permanently, but currently, not asking for that. I've been to the council meetings, obviously, and been deeply involved in what's going on up the hill. It is exciting. I can talk the numbers with anybody who wants to talk the numbers here afterwards, but it is quite impressive, and there are at least 2 phases that will make a huge difference. And even with the tax credits that are coming in from up there, it's going to significantly change the money that we have to work with. And if I were you, just no shots at anyone up here, I'd be very, very concerned about the attendance. All of us should answer that question. Every single person should answer that question. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
I haven't been part of the Bainbridge project, but I do attend the town hall meetings and I try to stay involved as much as I can. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, as Kevin said, I'm on the town council, and I've been involved with a lot about Bainbridge. I've made every meeting since I've been in office, maybe but 2 because of work.
Thank you. All right, our next question comes from Jeffrey Alpern of 1017 Roland Drive. And the question is this: with revenue coming in from Bainbridge, are tax cuts planned for the town?
I can answer that.
Please do.
The last meeting, we introduced a tax cut. We discussed, it's not been passed. We will discuss it again. I'm in support of that. I will tell you this, with the money that is coming in from Bainbridge, even as it is staged to come in, there's enough to go around. There's enough to not only redevelop and revitalize Main Street in the ways that I discussed before about expanding our facade program, among other things. There is enough to give patient taxpayers a break. But we'll have to work through that. But I intend to bring it back up in the next session.
Thank you.
Kyle, please.
You have 1 minute.
I know they've been talking about the tax breaks with the Bainbridge project, and we should be getting it because I've learned that we are the 2nd highest tax in Cecil County under Elton. So it'd be nice if we got a little break. Thank you.
That's right.
against all best efforts, I would say not initially and not immediately. The town has a number of different projects, including floodgates, stormwater management, and the town hasn't identified priorities. And to stand up here and routinely say what every politician says, which is tax break, tax break, tax break, and give the tax breaks, and then come back when a project is necessary and already given the tax break, is not fiscally sound. Unfortunately, the budget that's produced and online is not a line-by-line item budget. It is somewhat summarizes a number of expenditures and a number of different items that they want to do. And I just think while a tax break is fine and can be looked at down the road, initially, it's not give the money away immediately when you can't get it back, when storm gates haven't been erected, stormwater management has not been addressed either.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Could add to that.
Can we keep going?
I could add to that.
I mean,
You want to go?
Can we?
Yeah.
That's all the time.
I got one thing to add too, if you don't mind.
Also about the storm water, that's a good thing. We are actually working to get grants to fund the floodgates here in Bernard Drive.
Yeah.
Also, and we are working with the state as we speak for the drainage in North Main Street to get that project running.
May I address it? The town, approximately 2017, paid $73,000 to Aircom for storm gate projects, which they then backed out on. It then went to the Army Corps of Engineers. They didn't do it either. It's now with MEMA, M-E-M-A. They're looking at it. I understand that the state wants to address, and SHA wants to address the stormwater management. They've been saying that in this town since probably prior to 2017. But the earliest that I saw was 2017 that this was supposed to be addressed. They're trying, it's not addressed. When there's a flood, if you ask the residents, where I live on 73, there's a sluice gate that's broken and the water comes up into Main Street. That's not stormwater management.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to our next question from Carrie Ann Abrams of 29 High Street, Port Deposit. As mayor or council member, how involved will you be with the day-to-day operations of the town? How do you plan to get more residents involved in town issues and successes?
Well, as everybody knows, I promote everything in Port Deposit. I am up and down Main Street from the Marina Park all the way to the VFW. Man. I just love this town so much. I am so active with everybody. I try to spread the love as much as I can. I have people coming up to me in random places all the time, telling me what a great job I'm doing and the positivity I bring to this town. I actually had a couple approach me in a McDonald's and told me they actually moved to Port Deposit and started looking at properties here because of the posts that I made. So I'm all about the community and I'm all about the people. Thank you.
First, I want to thank Dan for promoting our town. That's awesome. He does a good job every morning. For the last 2 years that I've been on council, I've stopped in the town hall to see if our town workers are okay every day on those. I check on them every day. I pass that place and see what's going on. What I would do and what I would love when I was younger in the fire department, we used to have the crab feast and things down at the marina. I would love to get that back in town to create revenue and have a great time out there. Something like Happy Grace has First Fridays. Let's do something in Port Deposit, bring the community more together, talk to the businesses. Thank you.
Well, when I was asked earlier, what are some of the things I could do, we all, I think, have agreed that we could do a lot more community things. Eric and them are doing a great job here, but we can utilize the fire department, the Marina Park, like you said, crab feast. We could just do socials. But we do need more and more of the town members to come to meetings and get involved. I did not go to many of the development meetings, but I have gone to town hall meetings in the past. But usually there's like 6 or 7 people there, and it's like the 6 or 7 same ones that go. So there's 2 a month, and if you want to know what's going on and you want to kind of talk to us about it, just ideas, anything. But I agree, we all need to get together. We have a great community. That's one of the reasons why I love our town, and our community is made of the people that live in it. And that's what makes our town great. So we need the community's support and help and input. Thanks.
Can I ask them a question?
Sure, it goes within 1 minute.
1 minute and a half.
It's gonna be fast. So we had this idea of sending flyers out to everybody so they're informed of when we have town meetings. Would that help the community get more
Yes, it
involved? Okay, thank you.
If I may, please. One of the things, to the extent that anyone got my brochures or flyers that I sent out, I indicated that the town's lacking a community board. The town spent approximately a year and a half coming up with the 3 welcome to port deposit signs. So I put in the right flyer. When you go to Haverty Race, they have a simple McDonald's, a simple sign with the old, put the plastic, so people know what the activities are. Now, I've asked the town to put up a billboard, an illuminated billboard, so the town activities could be on the billboard. People don't go down to town hall. They may look at Facebook. Some people don't even use the Facebook. Sending out the flyers was voted down in the minutes of the meeting because the cost was too expensive. Because of mailing. And I can tell you from mailing out the brochures, it's expensive. But yet there it goes, but it was voted down by the town. You can't send the flyers. There has to be something other than that, and unfortunately the town opted for those 3 signs rather than putting something up on the sign where you could put what the activities are and the dates, like Haverty Race.
I believe there is a billboard at the 4-way stop right by the museum. So if you didn't know that, it is there. Check it every now and then. I do think our Facebook could be ramped up. You're letting people know it's a meeting tonight. Well, put it out there every day of the week that the meeting is. Not everybody sees every post at every time. So there is a board at the 4-way stop by the museum.
Thank you. All right, our next question comes from Sean Branch at 18 South Main Street. What new initiatives would you propose for small business opportunities?
Well, I didn't get involved again with the planning of Bainbridge, but it sounds like there's funding coming. And I spoke earlier of parking, and if there's funding, maybe we can figure out a way for there to be parking. There needs to be a little bit more handicap parking in town. There needs to be a little bit more handicap ramps. And I know that's hard with historic buildings without taking away the look of the historic building. But I think that parking will solve the problem along with advertising, just like Wayne said. Why can't we do a first Friday or a first Saturday? I know I'd love to have parades back. I mean, the town used to have parades. I mean, I've lived here 8 years. We've had 1 parade, and that was for the fire hall. So things like that. And I just think that we need to get together and make sure that if you want those things done, make sure you tell us. Volunteer to help us do it.
Thank you. Sure, please.
We used to have a Chamber of Commerce. In our Chamber of Commerce, we had a lot of great people in there, and during that time, we had a lot of businesses involved. You could be a member, just as a citizen, and help out. And by membership, we used to have boat races, we used to have Saturday Port Paloozas in town, and a lot of that was all through the Chamber. We had concerts down the park. So it takes a whole lot of people to put this stuff together. And I know because I do pretty much every event. So unless the businesses want to get involved and we put that chamber back together, a lot of those events can happen.
I'm gonna agree with Brandon. I actually had it in my notes earlier, and it didn't really come up, but I strongly believe that Port Deposit needs to get that Chamber of Commerce back up and running. I believe there's funds sitting there. We just need people to do it. And as a business owner, I'm all for that.
Yes, please.
Perryville doesn't have a chamber of commerce either. And perhaps a partnership between us and Perryville would be helpful. There's also something called, we also have a committee on revitalization and economic development. The two members that serve on that is the outgoing mayor and Mr. Knight, who's also not returning. That's not a normal committee that comes up. It's on the website. I can show you the list of members. If the town hasn't addressed the revitalization, first time it came up was in minutes in 2017. If you look at the minutes, the council's not going through the committees. This is a committee that could have put together the Chamber of Commerce, could address small business, could talk to the Economic Development Council in Cecil County over in Elton, and come up with a way that there would be a benefit or a grant to help or use county property for the benefit of the town.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, the next question is from, I'm sorry if I got the name incorrect here, Robin Zink on 73 North Main Street. What is the candidate's stand on trains parked for extended periods of time with engines running, i.e. noise, general dust, etc.?
Go ahead,
Well, I believe that is something that none of us really like, but it is my understanding that the town of Port Deposit doesn't really have a say-so in that. It is all up to CSX. I mean, thank you, but it's up to them. We don't own the train tracks, so we can't stop them from blowing the horn. We can't stop them from sitting there and running. Unfortunately, it's just Port Deposit, and that's something we have to live with the way that I've been told.
Anyone else?
Right behind them.
All right, this is an anonymous question. How can we make the town one unit, especially concerning events that include children attending when residents on the hill don't have sidewalks and vice versa?
Well, I think we need to all come together. I think there needs to be more activities down here on North Main Street because we've got a lot of kids down here. There needs to be more events. And, you know, I know they have some events down South Main Street, but, you know, some kids are just North Main Street kids. Plus, we should be able to provide some kind of transportation for the kids up at schoolhouse so they can also enjoy whatever events we're putting on. Thank you.
Okay, so growing up on North Main Street my whole life, you're right, there is nothing for the kids to do. So as my time being on council, I took it upon us to ask who owns the quarry. And the town of Port owns the quarry now, and we're annexing it right now as we speak, and we are working on a park down there for the kids to do something. I know the north end is hard. It needs some attention, and I don't like to say that it's north-south, the other side of the train tracks. It's not. It's just one town. This is what the mission needs to be, is Port Deposit. And that's what, if you elect me as mayor, that's what's going to be. It's going to be Port Deposit.
I'd like to add to that we're having this event at a place that can provide that type of unity. CCU, get to know it better, be involved in it. Been blessed to be on board with you guys. Just awesome people. But they need help too. You know, they need us. And but this is a great opportunity right here. We have. And right now, I'll just let you all know that we're in the middle of finishing up the transfer of properties here from the United Methodist Church to CCU so that they don't become condos and those types of things, wherever they might become, or just rot, okay? They will be part of this, well, I'll call it the nonprofit. And we're gonna really figure out,
Time is
need
up.
your help,
Thank you.
need your help in putting those things together. Use the property.
Thank you.
Sorry.
The next question is, what brings your heart into this community? This is from Tamia, 35 North Main Street. What brings your heart into this community, and how can you bring it together?
He's up before the questions even.
And her name
Oh,
is
sorry,
Tamara.
Tamara, sorry.
So we really gotta start looking out for the next generation coming up in Port Deposit. It's a great town. I know there's a lot of people with children out here. You know, we need to provide more things for them to do. I know CCU does a great job in providing activities for the kids to do. I have donated countless hours here working with the children. I love it. And I know this summer we're planning on doing a youth basketball league together. So hopefully we can get the whole town involved in that too. Thank you.
When I moved here 8 years ago, I think I was here 3 months and knew that this was the town that I didn't want to leave. So my heart's been here ever since. I'm gonna say it again, it's not just the town, it's the community and the people in it and everybody who has welcomed each other. We're all friends, we're all neighbors. I also love the town so much that I was frustrated that there was no place to stay in town. We have a great weekend walkabout town. And 4 years ago is when I started the Airbnb out back at the cottage. And, you know, we now have several Airbnbs. I'm not the only one. So we have places for people to stay. They can walk around town. They can have fun. They can go to events. They can do this, that. All of us can be with them. And I think the heart that's in my heart for the town is also in y'all's hearts. And we love our town, and that's why we're here. We just need to come together and do the,
Time is
sorry.
Okay, so I love this town, and at the end of the day, all of us sitting up here are still gonna be in this town, and we all gotta get along. So, I wasn't sure what we were gonna be doing in that room over there while we were all sitting there looking at each other. I brought Uno cards. We played Uno, and we had a great.
We played Brandon.
Yes.
We all lost.
Bill, would you like to say?
Sure, please.
All right, first, all of you may know me. I'm a third generation in this town, and my heart is definitely in this town. I graduated the fire department in Baltimore County. I moved away, came right back. I want to raise my family here just like my father did with me. I love this town, and I would love to support it best I can.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, I think we have time for one last question. And this is, again, an anonymous question. What will you do to keep the Victorian heritage of this town alive? How will you save the historic homes?
Well, like I said before, people need to take accountability for their properties. I know I own one of the oldest houses in Port Deposit, and it is constant upkeep. So people need to stay on top of their properties, and remember where you live. Historic Port Deposit. It should look nice. That's it.
Well, I do think that there are several houses that are already deemed like non-repairable, condemned. They're the ones that, you know, we need to try to get down and hopefully build new homes, single-family homes, and make them look historic. Everyone probably knows I have a historic home, 1904, and it is a lot of upkeep. But I do think that most people in town do take pride in their homes that live here year-round. I think that our main issue are the ones that have already been neglected and are just making our town look ugly. There's no other way to say it.
Kevin? Yeah, I think one practical thing we've started to do, and I kind of alluded to it when I was speaking with you before, is things like the facade program. It was in place before I came in, but it's at $50,000. It's a way to encourage owners to improve their properties. It's a grant process that's funded by the town and the county, actually by the state, I agree. We can increase that amount. As I see revenue coming in, that's something that would be it's a proven program that's worked, and I see us being able to make it a better program. I don't even know if everybody here knows about the facade grant program, but it's one of the most successful ones, I think, in the town so far. I'd like to talk to you more about it. Thank you.
Yeah, one more second. As I indicated when I was up here initially, I took part in the facade program, and it works wonderful, and it's great. However, I think HAC has to enlarge who they're listening to, or take into account the intent of HAC. It's there to make sure we maintain the Victorian that the question is about. But at the same time, it should not be in the way that if people want to improve the property. For example, there was a gentleman at 147 North Main wanted to put in replacement windows to make his house livable. And he had to go to the appeals board because of that. So the intent is to bring the standard up, as I indicated earlier, to raise the level, the water level, so every house is worth more. But it's not for HAC to get in the way so that those renovations and those corrections are not impeding, not impeding the value of the property. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else?
I have one more thing to say. Bob brings up a really good point. You know, one of the challenges in a town like this is that the Historic Area Committee is a good thing, but sometimes it gets in the way. There's a lot more we can do with greater cooperation on the board. And by the way, you can serve on that board. Okay, so keep your eye out for the openings that might come up. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank all of our candidates for sharing their views and insight with us tonight. And please, remember to cast your votes on Election Day. Election Day here is Tuesday, May 9th. It's at the Waterwitch Fire Company, station number 7 at 15 North Main Street. Polls will be open from 12 noon and will close at 8 p.m. There is some voting information on the table if you are interested in finding out more about that. And again, I'd like to thank all of the candidates. Yes?
Could you also announce how to get an absentee ballot, because those expire on April 18th. So there's still time if they can't show up on May 9th.
Okay, so did everybody hear that? There are absentee ballots that can be filled out through the 18th. The absentee ballot information, I don't know it off the top of my head, actually. I think I have it.
Actually, you can go, Bob is speaking about asking the town to mail you
You
a
can go
ballot.
online too.
Pardon?
I think you can go online too. You can go
Yeah,
down,
right,
yeah.
mail it to you or email it to you.
Right, but you can actually walk in and get a ballot later than April 18th. Yeah, I just talked to Vicki about it the other day. I just want to make sure on that.
Okay. well,
Because I was a little curious about it.
So here's the
Do it before then.
Here's the information on absentee voting. We'd love to have everybody come out and vote on the 9th. But absentee voting, qualified registered voters may pick up an application for an absentee ballot at Town Hall, 64 South Main Street, for deposit Monday through Thursday between 8:30 and 4:30, or call the Town Hall at 410-378-2121 to have one mailed or emailed to you. The deadline to request an absentee ballot application is April 18, 2023. The absentee ballot must be returned in person or by mail to the Town Court Deposit, 64 South Main Street, Court Deposit, Maryland, by 4:30 on Tuesday, May 9th of 2023. Absentee ballots received after the deadline will not be counted in the election. All right, so that information is here on the table, but it's also available on the Port Deposit website if you have any questions about voting. So again, I'd like to thank our candidates for their views, and ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our candidates.